Nope, I'm not in a new location. I'm still in the shed, but we are standing today. I learned from my mistakes on Tuesday night, and my back was killing me, so I said, screw it. We're standing up. I'll give you guys a quick shed tour. There's not much to tour, but, alright, so how do I get my fat head out of the way? There's the door. That's where I usually sit. It's where the baby making happens. Not really. But there's where I usually sit. Here's all this crap that we don't use. That lawnmower is mine. This one, there's two. That one's not mine. But all this freaking crap isn't ours. Almost 95% of it isn't ours. But, you know, we make do with it. Obviously, the show keeps rolling. It's Thursday night, so I've worked a couple alcoholic beverages into the caloric needs for the day. It's a need, yes. We've got our bear drinking shirt because I'm barely drinking. Sorry for that terrible joke. We will move right along from that. But it's been a great week. I brought two out here. I brought this Mountain Dew hard seltzer, the Baja Blast flavor, and also a Good Boy vodka. Thank you, John Daly, for making it. The problem is I have basically finished this one while I was doing prep work for the show. So I will probably have to take a pause, a break, at some point in this episode to go grab more because I'm gonna need another one. I'm probably gonna need a third one. See, just like that, it's done. See, we're already one left. It's just not gonna work, man. We have got a jam-packed agenda for the episode. Not really. It's the same stuff as always. College football, NFL, a little bit of Rays talk. I am recording this earlier than I typically have been. We're recording at 6:30 right now. Could have done it earlier, but I did a lot of time prepping. I wanted to make the sicko / Andy awesomeness parlay of the week super awesome this week, and I think we got a good shot. But I did a lot of prep when I got home. So today we had we got an annual little luncheon thing at the Jag Stadium. We're the national builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go Jags, baby! And we had our CEO PZ and our COO Doug Moran. So our top two head honchos in the company. I'm sitting there in the big break. I'm sitting there in the big, whatever room we're in. They're up there talking. There's just a ton of money in that room sitting there between the three of us. Like, some would say over $1 billion of just net worth. I'm just saying, like, a ton of money. It's crazy. I mean, you could feel the energy in that room. It was awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get to have a one-on-one conversation with Patrick regarding the race. He did actually talk about the sale. He said he started it up like last year, wanted to keep it a little hush-hush, didn't want it to leak and stuff before anything became finalized or actually, see if it grows some legs. But, it went on to that. I didn't get to talk to him one-on-one about, me being the potential new Jonah Hill for him. If you've ever watched the movie Moneyball, he's Brad Pitt, good-looking guy, makes all the cool moves, and he gets all the credit for it, and I'd be the Jonah Hill, the little fat nerd. Sorry, I didn't mean that, Jonah Hill. He's lost a lot of weight, but, the little fat nerd that does all the number crunching and tells him who to acquire and who to play and stuff. That's me. I love doing the dirty work, man. I do. But we'll try to schedule that one-on-one later. I think we might have a shot. I'm going to turn this light off and see how it goes because I think it's really bright for this screen. So give me 1 second. This is just Andy action happening live. Give me like 10 seconds. If you're listening to this and you hear it go silent, don't panic. Actually panic. Wow. Okay, that did not work. It is dark as shit in here, and I'm scared someone's going to come in here and touch me. So let me turn the light back on. Alright. We tried and we failed, but that's okay. It's fine. Is what it is. I was very scared of that. I couldn't do that in the dark. I'll pass. I'll pass on that. Regardless. I do want to say, did I really have a lot of Rays talk this episode? I didn't have a lot of Rays talk, but I did have some MLB talk. As you may know, this is the last week of the MLB regular season, and obviously the playoff picture is almost set, basically. Basically, it's completely set outside of the last wildcard spot for both AL and NL. So the first 5 teams are set, essentially. 3 division winners. And so the AL East, we still don't know who's going to win the division. The AL Central, we don't know who's going to win the division. So the Blue Jays and the Yankees are tied, both with 90 wins in the AL East. The Blue Jays, I believe, hold the tiebreaker for that because they've won the season series against the Yankees. And the Guardians are 1 game up on the Tigers. Oh man, I wanted to talk about the Tigers. I know you guys probably don't care about MLB, but I do. It's near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to my buddy Michael's heart, and JRAT's heart. I know he doesn't really care about the MLB that much, but still, he loves baseball. But, oh my goodness. Good Lord. The Tigers. As you guys may know, the Tigers were my second team. I was a fan of them last year before they got really good. They ended the season really strong, made a run in the playoffs, but I was on them before that. I'm a big Terry Skubal fan. I love Skubal. I love that team they have. They had a 15.5 game lead in July, I believe, on the Guardians. 15.5. I mean, that's a death sentence. That's over. It doesn't matter. It's over at that point. Or it should be. The problem is the Tigers have been horrible lately. And I don't mean lately. For the last month and a half. They're on an 8-game losing streak right now. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. Let me see if I can pull up their splits real quick just to tell you how bad it's been. I can't because I'm a freaking idiot, but it's been horrible lately. I as a self-proclaimed Tigers fan, as my second team, it's been a rough watch. It's been a very, very, very rough watch. But Cleveland has completely erased the division lead. They've actually taken the lead. It's a 1-game lead, and I believe they've won the season series over the Tigers, so it's technically a 2-game lead. And what's even worse is, you could just say, okay, hey, whatever, that's fine. Let's just make sure we get right for the playoffs, and who cares about the division? Let's be road warriors in the wild card. That's cool and all. The problem is the Tigers are 1 game up on the Astros right now, and I believe the Astros are beating the Athletics at this very moment of me recording this. And it's scary hours, dude. It's very scary hours, because if the Astros win this, the Astros on a 5-game, they're up 11-4 in the bottom of the ninth, so that game's basically over with. So the Astros are going to win tonight. The Tigers have 1 more game against the Guard Dogs, against the Guardians, or actually, you know what? This is my talk show. We're going to call them the Indians. I don't care. I don't like the Guardians' name. I don't think anyone likes the name the Guardians. We're going to call them the Indians. That's what they deserve to be. That's what they should be. They should still be the Indians. However, back to the main point. How do you blow a 15.5 game lead? And it's heartbreaking to think about it. My favorite team, the Rays, dead in the water 3 weeks ago in the season, complete. So it doesn't matter. It's over with. Then I said, okay, my new favorite AL team, the Tigers, have been rolling all season. Now, their season's coming off the rails. They only have a half-game lead on the Astros. Now, they did win the season series, so they have the tiebreaker, but still, you've lost 8 in a row. And then you have to go to Boston tomorrow for the weekend series. That's a dangerous environment, man. Boston's still got a lot to play for in the end of the regular season. Boston is a playoff team, and they're still technically in the hunt for the division, for the AL East division. But at worst, they still have the if they want to get the 4th seed in the wild card, so they don't have to be road warriors in that first series. Because I believe, so the way it goes in the MLB is the top 2 seeds, the top 2 teams in the AL get a first-round bye, and the top 2 teams in the NL get a first-round bye. And then the 3rd seed hosts the 6th seed, and then also the 4th seed hosts the 5th seed. So having that one, it's a best of 3. Having that home field for that best of 3 is huge, man. It'd be huge, especially for a team like Boston. That crowd gets very into it. It's very rowdy. It's scary hours for my boys in Detroit, in Motown. I am terrified for it. But in the NL, same thing. The Mets have just absolutely collapsed over the last 2 months. Really, they've been playing subpar baseball for the last 2 months. It's been a very hard watch. I like the Mets. I like a lot of the guys with the Mets. I love Soto. I love Pete Alonso, Florida boy, Florida polar bear, however you want to call it. They've caught up a trio of rookie starting pitchers, and they've been just really fun to watch. It's crazy that these trio of rookies have been playing such a prominent role the last month since they've been called up, because they need it. Their starting pitching staff is falling apart. It's like their whole team. It's like their whole team is falling apart. When the pitching does well, the offense stinks. When the offense does well, the pitching just gives up laser shows. It's been such a tough watch. So, I don't know who the hell I want. Actually, I do. I do. I want the Tigers in the AL, and I want, I guess, the Indians. I don't hate them. I hate them because they're beating my Tigers. I don't like any of those other teams in the AL that are gonna make it, man. I don't. I don't want the Blue Jays to be in it because they're all AL East folks. I don't like the Blue Jays. I don't like the Yankees. I don't like the Red Sox. They're all AL East rivals of the Rays. I hate the Astros, obviously. It's the Tigers and Indians, the two Central teams. That's all I have. That's all I have left. In the NL, I have the Phillies. I love the Phillies. They have a lot of really likable players. What's the word I'm trying to think of right now? Thinking, and you think, you idiot. They embody, there you go, they embody the beer league softball team mentality persona, but they're actually a Major League Baseball team who gets paid hundreds of millions of dollars. It's awesome. It really is. But I like the Phillies. I like some of the guys on the Dodgers. I know they're hated a lot. I do like a lot of the guys on the Dodgers. Granted, a lot of them are former Rays players, so that's probably why. Like Snell, Tyler Glasnow, some of the bullpen guys. They have Ben Wortvet, an old Rays catcher who was terrible for us this year, and they picked him up, and he's just doing his thing. Cool man. Yeah, cool man. Couldn't have done that for us. If the Mets don't make it, the team that's going to take it from them most likely is the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm cool with that. I'll be cool with the Reds I love the Reds. I loved them for the last 2 or 3 years. Actually, probably 3 or 4 years. I loved them in 22. I loved them in 23. Last year, they were just meh. I kind of, soured on them a little bit because it's just typical Reds baseball. It felt like. And then this year, they got Tito, Terry Francona, legendary manager. And it just had some magic, man. They did. Noel V. Marte, an outfielder, robbed a game-tying homer today to seal the win, basically. They're a fun team, man. They are. Oh, and the AL, never mind. I have my AL team. It's the Mariners. Andy, thank you, idiot. It's the Mariners. I forgot. The Mariners clinched the AL West the first time in 24 years since you had Ichiro in his rookie year. They clinched it last night. They clinched it last night. I'm sitting there Tuesday night, so 2 nights ago. I'm sitting there watching the Mariners host the Rockies. The Rockies have nothing to play for. End of the season, they're done. They're on the road in Seattle. And Seattle's dead in the water. They had a huge series sweep against the Astros last weekend. Honestly, I think it just looked like a little bit of a hangover, kind of just let's see if we can just get through it. The offense wasn't there. They were down They were down 3-1. Okay, down 3-1. Bottom of the 8th. They had their meat of the lineup coming up. Cal Raleigh struck out. Randy Arozarena struck out. There's 2 outs. Some guy, I forget who comes up, gets hit by a pitch. Oh, who was it? It was no. I don't know who it was. Someone gets hit by a pitch. Someone else walks. It's bases loaded, 2 outs. Josh Naylor, an absolute electric factory of a player, of a human being. Like, if you want to get into baseball and get hyped up, just watch his highlights, Josh Naylor highlights. It's awesome, man. He's running around the bases sometimes doing the baby. Like, it's awesome. And they're losing the game at the same time. But he comes up, it's a bases clearing double with 2 outs. Mariners take the lead 4-3. They win the game. Astros lose that night. The magic number's down to 1, and they clinch it last night with a win and also an Astros loss. It's awesome, man. That's my team in the AL. If the Tigers don't make it, even if they do, those are my 2 teams, Mariners and Tigers. Indians, what kind of, whatever, third place, consolation third place, basically, because it's just a lesser of the 4 evils left. But NL, I've got Phillies, I've got Mets, I've got Reds, and that's about it. I mean, I like the guys on the Dodgers, but I know the Dodgers, are very hated at times. Cubs I'm cool with. Brewers I'm cool with. It is what it is. I don't have many ties to them either way. The Brewers, I guess, is cool because they're a small payroll team, but they're kind of like the Rays. They're just perpetual chokers in the playoffs. It's just what it is. But moving on. We'll do an MLB probably rundown when the playoffs actually start. We'll give our predictions, our hopeful predictions, and our realistic predictions. But I figured, we went a little probably more in depth than I thought we would with the MLB right there. But hey, you gotta let the people know, man. You gotta let the people know. Let me take a sip of that. And okay, so before we get into the NFL and college football, picks for the rest of the episode, I had to go grab a couple more good boys because I'm feeling like a good boy tonight. I am. So please, any pretty girls, please text me or call me. I'll pay for the first date. I'll pay for all the dates. Whatever. You act like I didn't say that. A little bit of a personal story, and by that I just mean a non-sports related story. But one of my great friends from college, one of my best friends from college, Jake Ratledge, he lives in Apopka. He met today. It just so happened to in the PGA Superstore. He was going to buy some clubs, or I don't know what he was doing actually. I think he was going to buy a club. Maybe. I don't really know. He met Luke Heyman. And many of you are like, who the hell is Luke Heyman? Why does this matter to me? I'm about to tell you, okay? How about you have 5 seconds of patience, nerds? Luke Heyman is a catcher, or he was a catcher for the University of Florida baseball team. He was arguably our best, actually, I would say our second or third best hitter this season for Florida. One of the more consistent guys. Okay, second best, third best if you're including Colby Shelton, who was hurt the last couple weeks. I'll say third best. But he went off this year. Had a very great season. He did. I'll give him credit. He was more of a defensive catcher his first 2 or 3 years in college, and then this past season he blew up offensively. Got drafted. He's not at Florida anymore. Jake sees him, kind of he gives him a head nod. They both, like Luke gave him the head nod as if he kind of recognized him, and Jake goes, that guy looks really familiar. And then he kind of puts two and two together, waits a little bit, and he looks up Florida's roster because that's who he thought he knew him from at that point, and he saw it was him. And so he goes and introduces himself. He goes, hey, I know this is really random to you, so I'm sorry for that, but you know, I just want to say, like, I'm a big Tennessee fan, but some of my friends are really big Florida fans, and he goes, hey, are you Luke Heyman? I just wanted to let you know, or ask. I just wanted to figure it out just to be sure before I go on this little tangent. And he goes, yes. He goes, yeah, that's me. And he goes, I just want to tell you, like, I'm a Tennessee fan, but all my buddies are Florida fans, and they absolutely loved you. And I've watched a lot of, I love college baseball. I watch a lot of college baseball, so obviously I've watched you guys play. I watch Florida play a lot, and all my buddies love you. And he kind of just gives him the little bit of a chuckle. He's nice, like all that. And Jake calls me after, and he goes, that was the most basically cringiest thing of my life. I just lost negative 10,000 aura points to Jake Ratledge. And honestly, negative 10,000 points to the Ratledge household. I'm sorry, Maggie. I didn't want to bring you down in this, but it happens, man. Secondhand aura negative farming, secondhand aura removal. I'm sorry, it had to happen. He did it. It's not his best moment, but I told him, hey, shake it off, man. It happens. We all have these cringy moments of my life, dude. We all have it. I have it all the time. I'm not going to go more into it because I probably will at later episodes. But what I wanted to say is, it happens, man. Like, okay, you had a bad run-in with not a celebrity, but like, a somewhat notorious baseball player, athlete, whatever. My problem is now, if it ever gets out that Jake and I are best friends to this Luke character, he's going to put the pieces together that I'm a big Florida fan, especially if he watches the more recent episodes of this talk show, which he will, of course. I know he's watching. We know the audience. I know he's watching. And now he's going to think I'm a super fan / lover boy of him. This Luke Heyman character is going to think I just absolutely love this guy. I have his posters in my room. I'm sitting there counting down the days on my fan account on Instagram saying 95 days till Luke Heyman plays baseball, and posting old pictures of home runs and doubles and him throwing out runners. No! I love Florida. I don't love Luke Heyman. But now, Jake brought himself down. It's just like... It happened. You had an awkward interaction. It's okay. You didn't really plan out what you needed to say. Shit kind of just went off the rails. That's fine. It is what it is. You had a bad interaction. Who cares? You brought me down with you. I care now. Now I look like a lover boy for Luke Heyman. I got my pom-poms running around and a shirt with his face painted on it. No! Oh, Jake! Oh, my goodness. I was just going to touch on it. Now you got me worked up because now people think I'm some stalker of Luke Heyman. Maybe I made this all up myself, but I don't care. I do care. A little bit. It's okay. Moving on. It's time to get to the SEC, NFL, NCAA. Before I get into my picks, again, one more thing before I get into my picks. I know you guys are all anxiously awaiting them, and are so ready to see them. I know. It's okay. I am too. I was really excited putting this together. Literally right after I was recording, or actually that day, I don't remember, and I just didn't see it, SEC released their annual opponents for the next 4 seasons. So the way this is, if you guys aren't aware, is SEC is moving to a 9-game schedule starting next season for football. They typically only have played 8 games for as long as I've been alive, basically. Yes. They've only played 8 games for as long as I've been alive. They're adding a 9th game because they got a lot of flack from Big Ten, ACC, Kurt Cignetti, Indiana coach, I love him to death. I do. I love him. He kind of called out the SEC when Indiana was canceling somewhat quality out-of-conference opponents. It says SEC, only plays 8 conference games a year, and they play cupcakes out of conference, so why should we be risking our, playoff, criteria, our little profile, our profile for the season by playing these guys out of conference when we don't have to? I give credit, called it out. The problem is the Big Ten, Greg Sankey said, all right, we'll double down, man. 2 in the fucking holster, man. Hey, you're not. Our pockets run deep, man. Couple weeks after that, he said, all right, 9-game schedule, and on top of that, every single SEC opponent every year has to have a quality out-of-conference opponent. Power 4 conference opponent. Now, they might bend the rules a little bit if it's like a quality G5 team like a Boise State or a Memphis or a Fresno State or, hey, Billy, USF. Billy. But they doubled down, man. They said, all right, you guys want to play by these rules. We'll play by these rules and then some, actually. Like, you guys don't want to go down that path. I promise you. You don't want to go down that path because we will beat you in that. My gripe, the SEC annual opponents got released they said after 4 years, they'll reevaluate these annual opponents, and I'll probably do some shuffling. But what their goal is to eliminate the repetitive matchups outside of your annual opponents that have been going on. Like Florida keeps playing Texas A&M a lot, and a lot of the time it's on the road too. I don't really understand it. It's really weird, and it's really obnoxious. It's just a weird SEC scheduling mechanic. I don't like it. But they also I don't think Florida's traveled to Auburn since God knows when. I can't tell you the last time Florida traveled to Auburn. It has literally been 20, 30 years probably. It feels like, which is it makes no sense, but. I don't like these annual opponents. I know as a Florida fan, strictly coming from a weighing wins and losses, expected and opportunistic wins and losses, they made out like bandits against this. Florida's 3 SEC opponents that are going to be annual for the next 4 years are Georgia, Kentucky, and South Carolina. Okay? Georgia, great team. They've got our number. We haven't beat them since 2020. They kind of just, it is what it is. Until we get our coaching staff figured out long term. What is that crease in my shirt? I don't like it. Get to it, Mr. Bear. Drinking Bear. Get it. Until they get it figured out, I kind of just talk it up as a loss every year. I'll talk myself into a week of the Georgia game and be like, we're beating these fuckers. I don't even care. We're beating them. Doesn't matter to me. But, regardless, moving on. South Carolina and Kentucky are just... I know I like Shane Beamer. He's got South Carolina's kind of, cooking. They're like an 8-4, 9-3 annual team. But if Florida's Florida, which they should be, that should be an easy win every season. It should be. Both those games should be an easy win every season. Not an easy win, but it should be more guaranteed than not guaranteed. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, it should be. I just hate that they gave up both the Tennessee and LSU rivalries. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't really think many Florida fans would be a fan of that. I know if those were your 3 annual opponents, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, which they have been for a while, obviously, because Georgia and Tennessee were their 2 SEC East opponents, which you're always going to play every year when they still had the East and West, and then LSU was Florida's constant West opponent every year. That's who Florida played LSU every single season. You had one opponent that wasn't in your division that you played every year, and that was LSU. So they've always played Tennessee and LSU every single year. I keep looking at this crack in the shed, and I think I'm moving. I'm seeing shadows, and I think it's someone walking up. And I'm home alone, by the way, so if I see someone walking up, I could just, gotta pull up the Colorado moves. But we're good. It's fine. But, I don't like that. I know if you play Georgia, Tennessee, LSU every year, it's like you're gonna go 1-2 almost every single season. Maybe 2-1. That's a gauntlet of a trio of annual opponents. I get it. I just think they should have kept 1. You should have kept Georgia and either Tennessee or LSU. You should have kept 2 of those. It is, man. It's the SEC. It's a gauntlet of a schedule. Who cares? Embrace it, dude. Embrace the rivalries. I don't appreciate that. And also, what has Florida done to warrant almost being rewarded by this? They suck. They've sucked for a lot of years, man. But it is what it is. I don't like it. Tennessee's are Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. And so, again, I understand Alabama. Yes. Alabama they've played every year, all the time. That was their West opponent when they were in the East. I understand that. Vanderbilt, I understand. Nashville, Tennessee rivalry, the in-state rivalry. I get it. Kentucky, is what it is. You kind of maybe get a layup for Tennessee's terms. I don't know. I don't want to consider it a layup, but you know what I mean. It's what it is. I have gripes about this. Texas A&M has LSU, Missouri, and Texas. Missouri's a quality opponent. They always will be, it feels like, under Eli Drinkwitz, as much as I want to down them. And then you get LSU and Texas. Texas, the in-state rivalry. I get it. LSU also just a rivalry. That's a gauntlet, dude. Like, that stinks. That's a tough 3-game slate. I get it. But it is what it is, man. They released the schedules for the next 3 years, actually. And I'm gonna try to pull it up real quick. If I can't find it on this first website, then I'm just gonna it is what it is. But it's just I'm not a fan that they lost both Tennessee and LSU. And I know there's probably fans of other SEC teams that are the same way. That from a wins-loss perspective, maybe they got benefited from it a little bit. But from a fan perspective, in terms of rivalries, deep-rooted hate for these teams, it's like you circle this game on this when the schedule comes out every year. Like, I'm going to this, or I'm going to make sure my ass is in a seat inside watching this. Like, I'm going to make sure there's no plans. Like, it just takes away from that kind of that just atmosphere. It does. Like, I don't appreciate it, man. I don't. I really don't. Like, in 2026, next season, Florida does not play neither LSU nor Tennessee. They play them both in 2027. Okay, cool. But and 2028, obviously. Oh no, I lied about that. Not 2028. They play them both in 2027 and then 2029. I just don't like it, man. I'm probably rambling a little bit about it. I know you guys probably don't care, but as a Florida fan, and I know Jake would agree as a Tennessee fan, and Mike probably agrees as actually, yeah, we talked about it at work. I know Mike, my buddy from work, my guy from work. I know he doesn't like it either. As a Tennessee fan, he loves playing Florida every year, whether it's going to be a win or loss. Yeah, you care about it, but you just love that rivalry, that hatred for every other team. For each team. It's just, it is what it is, man. I know I'm probably going a little bit old man, get off my lawn about this, but I don't really care, man. I know a lot of people feel the same way about it. So, moving on, now we will pick up with the NCAA, our college football picks for the week, and just also, so I did a parlay for our college football matchups. I didn't do an NFL parlay. I probably will, at NFL, I kind of go by the games and just kind of pick, right off the noggin, So you can go off of that if you want. If you're cooking up just a massive parlay, I love you. I want to see it. Just drop me the screenshots of it in the comments, or just send it to me over text. I love seeing these things. I do. I'm the biggest hype man. But NCAA made more of a matchups that I'm really excited to see and excited to cover next week on the episode, on the recap, and also picks for certain matchups as well. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do NFL, and I'm pumped for it, man. Oh baby, I am feeling really good about these picks this week. So we're not going a lot of no-name matchups at all, but I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Let's do the matchups to watch first, and I'll probably give my bets on who I think you should go with as well. But my matchups to watch are, I'll keep it short. UGA and Bama. So Bama beat Georgia last year in Tuscaloosa. It was a great game. Alabama went up like 28-7 or something, 28-3 early on. Georgia clawed all the way back, took the lead late. Alabama, Ryan Williams just made just an insane play to take the lead back, and Alabama won, I think, 35-31, I believe. But I don't know, man. UGA is a 3-point favorite, and I think I would take them if I didn't have so much Bama bias in terms of this matchup. Now, I know both teams. So Georgia's beaten Bama in the national championship. Bama's also beaten them in the national championship. But Bama has just owned this rivalry for a while. It's been very lopsided for the last 5-10 years. And I know that that's not fair to Georgia and Kirby Smart, because most of that came with Nick Saban at the helm, and Kalen DeBoer. They put up 31 on last year. They went up big, but they blew the lead. It was a dicey win. But Kalen DeBoer is 1-0 against Kirby Smart in Georgia in his tenure at Alabama. However, it's just I just don't like how Alabama looks this season. I'm just not convinced by them. I know they beat Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, I believe, and I think they had a bye week, so maybe a week off to prepare for Georgia, so that's nice, but Georgia also had a week off, so kind of net neutral, basically. But Georgia's at home. The way Georgia came back and battled with Tennessee, I think they're better equipped. They're more equipped against a quality opponent. The one quality opponent Alabama's faced, FSU, ran them into the ground, dude. Like, they had their way on both lines of scrimmage. I don't like it. I don't really trust it, man. I don't. Give me Georgia. It's a 3.5-point spread. If I was betting on it, I'd take Georgia money line, but it's 3.5. I don't see them winning by 3. I see them winning by 6 or 7 if they do win. I'd say Georgia in the points. If I was betting, that's not part of the parlay though, but I'd say Georgia in this points. Next one, LSU Ole Miss. We're staying in the SEC. Look, LSU's defense I saw actually today, and they're 4 games. They're 4-0, obviously. Moving on to our second good boy, third drink of the night. It is blackberry iced tea. Now, I will say again, thank you, John Daly. You make some really good drinks. Again, I don't know why you had to call them the good boys. I know it's for the dogs, but I don't want to be drinking a good boy. I want to be called a good boy. I don't want to be drinking a good boy. But, how? I will not. I don't want to be mistaken. You make some damn good vodka seltzers, I will say. But LSU Ole Miss. LSU's defense has not given up more than 10 points all season. Now, they played 2 not ranked opponents. They played 1 ranked opponent, Clemson, and then they also played Florida. So they have 2 quality opponents, 2 Power 4 opponents, really. I don't know. I know their defense is good. Obviously, if you're giving up if you haven't given up more than 10 points and we're a month into the season, and at 10 points a game, and we're a month into the season, you have a great defense. You do. The problem is, I just think it's very misleading because Clemson's offense has looked like a shell of itself. Cade Klubnik has looked like a shell of itself, and the same exact thing can be said about DJ Lagway in the Florida offense. Florida returned an All-American center. He got a brick, by the way, an All-American. They returned an All-SEC left tackle in Austin Barber, I believe, and the other guys are all returning starters. They are, and so with a lot of experience, most of them have a lot of experience, and pass protection-wise, they've been terrible. Kind of been able to run the ball. I think Billy kind of deviates away from it more than he should, because this is a running back room and an O-line that should be able to keep you in just about every game. That's just the way I thought about it. That's how I thought of it going into the season. Is, hey, if DJ has a bad game, the run game and the O-line alone should be able to keep us in a game with just about literally everybody, maybe barring Georgia. But I'm getting off on a tangent there. I just wanted to kind of justify this. I think this LSU narrative that their defense is like otherworldly and elite is a little far-fetched and misleading, because the 2 quality opponents they faced coming into the season, these are going to be like behemoth matchups. Like, these are going to be freaking fantastic matchups. They haven't been. Clemson and Florida have both been exposed as frauds. They both have losing records. I think they're both 1-3. Or no, Clemson's 1-2. Florida's 1-3. It's just, I just think it's misleading. And Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin has been cooking this season. I know their defense has been a little bit they've relapsed a little bit compared to last season. They lost a lot of talent to the draft, and you kind of just don't have the pieces that they did last season, the NFL caliber pieces. But I just think their offense has Lane Kiffin and their offense combined. That's 2 different things, mind you. Lane Kiffin is a great play caller, game schemer. He is, and their quarterback room, Austin Simmons, and then the backup, I can't remember his name. He started for him last game, and maybe the game before as well, when Austin Simmons has been kind of hurt. They've just been cooking, man, and put up 30, 40 a game. I just see, and it's a home game for Ole Miss. I'm going off on a freaking tangent. I'm giving you guys in-depth analysis for this game, so you guys better bet on it, and also put the screenshot in the comments or send it to me over text. I want to see this. I want to see these bets. I think Ole Miss wins. It's a home game for him. I think Ole Miss wins. It's LSU's first true SEC road test. They went into the other Death Valley, into Clemson, and they handled business, kind of. But I think Ole Miss wins this game. I do. That's just my gut feeling. I don't trust LSU's offense. Nussmeier has not looked great this season. He hasn't needed to, mind you. He hasn't needed to yet. And so I think this is the first game where he is going to need to. I think so. So it is what it is a little bit, but I think Ole Miss pulls it out. That's just my honest opinion. It is. But moving on, my last game that I didn't am not going to bet on, that wasn't part of my picks, is it's just kind of a sicko matchup for me. It's New Mexico State traveling to New Mexico. You're not really traveling that far. You're in-state. It's an in-state rivalry, man. New Mexico, the Lobos have a spot in my heart because I picked them 2 weeks ago to upset UCLA on the road. I had them as part of my parlay, and I put them as just to cover the spread. The spread was 16.5. So it was a 3-score spread, and I said, I think they might win this game. And they did. They killed UCLA on the road. That actually got UCLA's coach fired, RIP. But that was also my guy, Mike, from work. He's in this league. He's in this little thing where they do an upset pick 'em every week, where they just choose the underdog of the week. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm telling you, New Mexico against UCLA. Like, that's the one right there. That's going to get you a lot of points. And it did. So New Mexico has a spot in my heart for just that week alone. And so I'm going to give them, just take New Mexico. I don't even care about New Mexico State. I don't know anything about them. I don't need to. Give me New Mexico. And also, give me the points. I think it's like a 10.5 point spread. Let me try to find it real quick on the ESPN-inator. Oh, no, I'm folding right now. I can't find it right now. I just had it pulled up. Did I? Oh, I did. It's New Mexico minus 14.5. Sorry about that. So it's a 2-touchdown spread. I still take them. Take them. I don't care. I really don't care. Give me New Mexico and the points in that game if you're going to bet on. I'm not including it. But now we move on to the parlay. I don't need to go as in-depth about this. I probably should because these are my actual picks. But now we're going to go into the parlays. Okay, it is time to make some money, man. My $1 parlays have not hit at all yet this season, but I'm not going to lie. I think this is the one, man. I really do. My first one is, it's almost more of a question. I mean, in the notes, I literally put a question mark on it, but Florida State travels to University of Virginia tomorrow night. So it's a Friday night game, so if you're going to bet, get your bets in before tomorrow night, obviously. But they travel to Virginia in their first road game of the season, their first conference test of the season, or the first conference matchup of the season, and they're only 6.5 point favorites. Now I know Virginia isn't terrible. I know they're not horrendously bad. I think they're 3-1 maybe. I'm trying to scroll up, and I got condensation from the can is getting on my hand, and it's screwing up my scroller on the laptop. I'm just a horrible host, and I am so sorry, guys. But I just spilled a good boy all over my shirt. If you guys are watching, this is just, we're in a train wreck right now. Wow, this is going off the rails quick. I am so sorry. But I think Virginia's 3-1 if I'm not mistaken. They are. They're 3-1. Their one loss is on the road to NC State, 35-31. They clobbered Stanford at home, 48-20 last weekend. I don't take much stock in that game. Stanford is down in the trenches. They're down bad. And the other two games were against cupcakes in terms of football. They played William and Mary and Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, baseball powerhouse, not a football powerhouse. Let's get that out there. No disrespect to Coastal. I love Coastal. But, yeah, you know, their biggest test was NC State on the road, and they lost by 4. They kept it a game. You know, they put up 31. The problem is you gave up 35. So, again, Andy Math is going to come into play right here. If you're playing football, baseball, basketball, a lot of sports, and you give up more than you score, that's not a good thing. That means you're going to lose the game. So they lost that game. But I don't think Virginia's a bad team. I don't see them covering this touchdown spread against Florida State. I don't see them keeping it that close. I mean, as I might be the biggest Florida State hater that watches this podcast, talk show, damn it, Andy, that watches this talk show, that walks this Jacksonville area. I might be one of the biggest Florida State haters, but I gotta give I give credit when credit's due, man. Thomas Castellanos has been a top 5 transfer portal transfer, acquisition for any team this season so far. I know we're only 3 games in for FSU. They had a bye week, but he's putting up ungodly numbers. He's not even having to throw the ball a ton. He's just that efficient. He's been super efficient. They run the ball. He can run when he needs to. Florida State literally looks like a juggernaut right now, and they should be actually. I think Miami's the favorites of the ACC. Florida State should be a close second. It should be. That's just how it is. I think they are probably if you go to odds and stuff like that at this point. But still, that's how it should be. Miami's trenches, their O-line and D-line are just disgustingly good. Best in the nation good. They have that argument. So it's hard to bet against them when they have that kind of thing. And then they have an experienced quarterback in Carson Beck, but this is his 4th year in college, or 5th year in college, 4th year starting maybe, 3rd year starting, I think. I don't know. I'm drunk. Not really. But they just have a ton of experience. They have a ton of really good talent in the trenches. But I'm getting off on a tangent here. I take Florida State dub and cover. That's how we're doing it. I think Florida State covers the 6.5 point spread. It might be close for the first half. Getting that first half jitters on the road. Maybe the crowd actually plays a role into it. But give me Florida State the points. Trust me. I'm going with that. Moving on. Give me tonight. Actually, you guys aren't going to be able to. Wow, I just completely jumbled all those words right there. So I'm sorry. Erase, reboot. Tonight, I believe the game might actually be underway, so I'm not even going to be able to place this parlay, but Army and ECU are tonight, so that's probably the no-name matchup you guys are thinking about. It is a little bit, but I like ECU. ECU is a 4.5 point favorite. Army is 1-2 on the season, or 2-1, and Army's it's typical, it's a typical naval military school. They run the ball a lot. They don't really throw the ball. The defense is going to try to keep you in the game, but the Army is they're kind of down bad this year. They just don't look good. They don't look great. They don't look like an Army team, in the years past. So, and East Carolina's at home. They're only a 4.5 point favorite, which is a little shocking to me. That's the thing. It's like I'm a little shocked by that because ECU has just looked better overall. If you're just box score watching, which I am, but I'm going to take ECU in the points. I can't really take them because they're not part of the parlay, so I guess we're going to move this to the matchups to watch. So when you're watching this talk show, watch that game. Turn the game on if you're watching it tonight. But moving on, we have University of South Alabama, so USA. They are traveling to face North Texas. Again, I guess this is probably also classified as a no-name matchup if you're not a college football sicko like I am. So, to me, this isn't a sicko matchup, but for you guys, it might be. But they are on the road this is a Saturday game, so we're into the Saturday slate now, don't worry. North Texas is 4-0. They're the home team. They're a 12.5 point favorite, but I don't really care about the point spread. I'm taking the over. Now, hear me out. The over is very aggressive. It is 63.5. I get it. I do. I completely get it. That's a high over-under, even for a college game. Had to polish off that good boy. Now, we go to this last one for the night, which is raspberry iced tea. Wow. Crack. I don't think you guys can hear that, but it cracked. It was a nice cane crack. But I know 63.5 is a very high over-under for college, just in general, especially for college. But look, hear me out. South Alabama has allowed 30-plus points in every single game except for one. The first game of the season, they faced Morgan State and won 31-21. So if that doesn't raise a red flag to you, they faced Morgan State, an FCS school, and won 31-21. That's a red flag. You give 21 to an FCS school and you only won by 10. Okay? That's a red flag. Okay? All their three other games, they've given up 30-plus. So, if we're just going from an average standpoint, okay, South Alabama is going to give up 30 points. 30-plus. Easy. That's half your over-under right there. Now, where I will, let me say, ease your stress, ease your concerns about, hey, that's only 30, that's only halfway there. You're saying South Alabama has to also put up 30 themselves. Let me enlighten you. North Texas is averaging almost 50 points a game. They're putting up 47 points per game right now. They've scored 288 points in their first 4 games. Now, look, are these opponents maybe not on the scale, on the same level as South Alabama? Maybe not. Maybe they are. But my point is, I think it's not a safe bet, but it's not that far-fetched to say North Texas is going to put up high 30s, low 40s this game. I really think it's fair to say South Alabama's probably going to score 3 touchdowns, at least the equivalent. They're going to put up probably 20 to 24 points, okay? And so, at that point, you need North Texas to put up 40 to cover. Hey, I don't know if you guys were listening 30 seconds ago. How many points is North Texas averaging? 47 points per game through the first month of the season. It's a set and forget it, man. Over under 63.5, I'm taking it. Take the over on North Texas. And North Texas, South Alabama. And if you're not feeling comfortable with that, just take North Texas money line. If you're feeling, let's say, a little frisky, but not that frisky for the over-under, take North Texas minus 12.5. I think they could probably run away with this again. So, I like that one. Moving on. So, I literally said, actually, a couple minutes ago, that I wasn't going to go on a tangent for all these, and I've been going on a tangent, especially for the no-name matchup. So, I gotta clean this up a little bit. But, next one. USC, Illinois. Now, on the Tuesday episode, if you guys tuned into that, let me take a sip of it. Let me try this raspberry. Is this raspberry? I literally just said it 5 minutes ago. Raspberry iced tea. It's not bad, man. I suggest you guys fork up the money for these good boy vodkas. I'm just saying. But I think you just need to drive the stake in Illinois, man. I hated them. I kind of trashed them a lot on Tuesday. I feel bad for it because, they don't talk crap. They go about their business. I talk crap with them a lot on Tuesday, the Tuesday episode. And Indiana hung, they lost by half 100. You should not be ranked if you lost by half 100. Again, I'm not gonna go into that. You shouldn't be ranked. Illinois should not be ranked. But look, Illinois is home against USC. Okay, so it's a good game. It's a very good matchup. I like the matchup. It's the big noon matchup for Fox this weekend. Illinois is a 6.5 point favorite. I am taking that. I look, if you want to be a little more safe with your odds in terms of your betting, take USC money line. That's fine with me. I'm not going to be offended by that. Maybe a tad bit. I'm not going to be offended by that. I'm not. Let me take that back. Take USC money line. But I think they cover against Illinois. I think Indiana completely exposed them last weekend. I think Illinois got brought back to reality in terms of we are not a top 10 team. Actually, we may not be a top 25 team. And I think USC is a top 25, top 15 team borderline this season. Their offense is going to score. Their transfer quarter. I don't know if he's a transfer or if he was just, I know it's his first year starting there, but I don't know if he's a transfer or if he was already in the wings and Lincoln Riley is just, a magician recruiting quarterbacks and just had this guy in the wings waiting after Miller Moss left last year. But he's been great. He's been fantastic. Just he can do everything for that offense basically. I'm taking USC in the points. You guys can take USC money line if you want, but that is what it is. Next one, moving on. TCU. Number 24 ranked TCU, by the way, is traveling to Arizona State. Now, I've mentioned this multiple times on the talk show in previous episodes. Arizona State, the previous Big 12 champions, they returned a lot. They lost to Cam Scatabo, obviously, but they returned a lot of their core, the rest of their core team. This is also a Friday matchup, so if you're betting, be aware this game is tomorrow night, not Saturday. But I like TCU in this game. They're a road dog in this case. So, how about that? TCU ranked, Arizona State unranked. TCU an underdog of 3.5 points to Arizona State. How about that, man? How about that? If that doesn't go to show you that the AP voters are just full of absolute shit and maybe just air, like they're just airheads, like the candy. Great candy, not a great description if you're an AP voter. How about that? Andy facts right there. Just spitting it out right now. Pause. We're spitting out facts right now. There we go. That's better. I don't understand that. TCU has been great this season. They've kind of just throttled almost every team they've played. They got a lot of headlines that first game of the season when they were facing North Carolina, and they just absolutely destroyed Bill Belichick's defense. It was they won 48-14. They've only played 3 games, so they've had a bye week, but they put up 48, 42, and 35. And the 35 was against SMU, who was the runner-up in the ACC last season, a playoff team, by the way. You won 35-24 against a former playoff team last season. So, if that doesn't tell you enough, I like TCU's quarterback. He's been putting up great numbers this season. He can just sling it, dude. He really can. I like TCU on the road as a dog against Arizona State. If you're not feeling that frisky, just take the points. Take them to cover the 3.5. But if you're feeling frisky, take them to win. I'm taking them to win outright. I don't really care. I do care, but I don't care. I do care, but I care enough to where I think they're going to win. This next one is more of a... So, actually, these next two, let me say this, are more of a... What's your gut check on this topic? So, let me take a sip real quick. These next two picks include Oklahoma State facing Baylor and Virginia Tech facing NC State. Now, if you're not really that aware, you may be thinking, what do these two games have to do with each other? And that's fair, completely fair. An ACC matchup and a Big 12 matchup. What exactly do these have to do with each other? I'm going to tell you. Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech both fired their coaches. Oklahoma State fired Mike Gundy this past week, and Virginia Tech fired their coach 2 weeks ago, I believe. So, this is where I say, not bet at your own risk, but bet with your heart in terms of like your gut feeling on this. So, because these can go one of two ways. Teams can fire a coach, and they can just be like, I think this may be more so prevalent in the NFL atmosphere, in the NFL stratosphere, where teams can fire a coach, and the players are like, wow, I'm glad we got that guy out of the locker room. Let's go freaking play with our heads on fire, because this guy, for the last few weeks, last season or two, was just bringing us down. His energy wasn't great, or his coaching wasn't great, or just we didn't believe in him. We just didn't really trust in him. Or it could be, wow, I absolutely loved that guy to death. I would die for him. And the fact that you guys fired him mid-season, this early in the season, I'm going to give you a big middle fingers to y'all. I don't even know if I can do middle fingers on YouTube, so I'm sorry. Maybe I get DMC strike. I have no idea. But maybe they just give a big middle finger to the university and be like, I don't care the rest of the season. I don't really care. If I get hurt, I get hurt. If I get tired, I'm not going to give it my all. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm taking the more checked out approach, but not as a slight to the players on this team or the staff on this team. I don't mean it negatively towards these guys at all. I mean it more as a, wow, this season went off the rails really quickly and very early into the season. This is just a lost season. And so also, what you have to, if you're going to do more research, is NCAA, the way football goes now, is if you play in 4 games, if you play in 4 or less games, you could still redshirt. We're 4 weeks into the season. These teams have not played more than 4 games. I don't think so. The only teams that may have played more than 4 games are the teams that played in week 0, but even then I think they've had a bye at this point. But nevertheless, a lot of these starters on these teams just may opt out the rest of the season in redshirt because they want to transfer and give themselves another shot at just having one more year of playing football if they don't think they're going to make the NFL, or B, if they think they're going to make the NFL, give me one more year to now, you got 2 or 3 months rest of the season, work out, get back in shape, just find a new school, find a new program that'll want me, that is a little more stable and not less and more turmoil, a lot of questions surrounding it. Let me get to a program where I can just be me, and they're going to let me play for this last year and let me get drafted. I love that for them. I don't blame them at all. If your coach is fired in the first month of the season's over. Hey, Florida, take notes, you goddamn idiots. But I don't fault these guys if they're gonna opt out a month into the season because their coaches got fired. I really don't. But that's where I'm playing these betting games, is I'm going to take the road of these teams are just checked out. Like, these teams are done. The stake has already been driven through their season because it has been. Their coaches are fired. Their records are obviously dog poop. Like, it is what it is. So for these next 2, I'm taking Baylor to cover a 20.5 point spread against Oklahoma State. RIP to Mike Gundy, the Mike Gundy era. RIP to the Mike Gundy era. We're going to miss your mullet. We're going to miss you. You fell off at the end. It's okay. It is what it is, man. I'm taking Baylor and the Fighting Sawyer Robertsons, Baylor's quarterback, to win and cover against Oklahoma State. I just think it is. They fired him this week. I think there's just a lot of turmoil and a lot of just what is going on right now around Oklahoma State, rightfully so. And then I'm taking NC State to cover a 10.5 point spread against Virginia Tech after they just fired their coach. Not this week, but last week. I think they may have had a bye week, or they just fired him 2 weeks ago. So those are my next 2 picks. Baylor and NC State both winning and covering against their respective opponents. The next one, we're back to the actually, you know what? Let's do, so 2 of my last 3 are SEC matchups, so I'm going to go with the Big Ten matchup, and then we just, knock out the 2 SEC ones at the end. Oregon and Penn State. Oregon is on the road in Penn State in Happy Valley. So we have Clemson and we have LSU are both Death Valley. We have Penn State, which is Happy Valley. And so, let me take a sip real quick. That was more of a chug. This good boy is going out like water right now, and it is dangerous. I'm sorry. It's 7:30 on a Thursday night. And this good boy tastes way too good right now. I'm sorry. But Oregon goes to Penn State. I mean, this has, just like I said last week against about the Utah and Texas Tech matchup, that this has huge Big 12 championship implications and also playoff implications. I think this Penn State-Oregon game has huge Big 10 championship implications because genuinely, I think I don't know about that actually, because I'm very much higher on Indiana than I think the common public is, the general public is. That's just how I think I am. I'm a huge Kurt Signet believer. I love Frank Mendoza, who is a part of the Heisman contenders now. And I saw a mock draft this week. I sent it to my buddy Jacob Cooper, who's a huge Indiana sports fan, IU sports fan in particular. And one of these mock drafts had Frank Mendoza going number 1 overall. Like, that's insane. I don't like the team he was going to. He was going to the Browns, who's just an absolute dumpster fire. But it's crazy. They're finally getting the respect they deserve. They just had to beat a top 10 team by half 100 to get some goddamn respect. I mean, are we kidding? Are we serious right now? Like, oh my God, I can't crash out. This is a Thursday episode. I can't crash out. I can't. But back on track. I think the Big 10 championship, I think it's going to be some combination of Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan, maybe Penn State. I don't trust Penn State enough. I really don't, man. This is one of those teams where I have to see it to believe it. There's teams that I can blindly believe in that have proven it, that have the track record, like Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. To a certain degree, up until this year, it was Clemson. In their good years, it was Florida State. Like, there are teams that I can just sit and forget it, that I can believe it, and if it's an off year, it is what it is. It's just an off year. But Penn State, they play Oregon, they play Ohio State, they play Indiana, they play, that's about it really in terms of big name opponents. They play Nebraska. Nebraska's, they're just a pretty good team. They're not an elite team. But Penn State is just one of these teams that just perpetually, James Franklin-led teams have just choked the big game. That's just the way the Big Ten's been, is every year it's like a 1 or 2 game season, because it's always been Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State lately at least. Oregon obviously is prominent now that they've joined, and Indiana's joined the conversation, but it's been Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. And Penn State perpetually has just choked in that big game. They just can't win the big game. And so I think, there was a ton of hype. Just like Clemson, there was a ton of hype coming into the season because they returned A, their quarterback, and B, just a huge chunk of their team. They got some wide receiver transfers in the transfer portal. And so there was just a pick that they were just going to take off and finally, bust down that wall this year. I just haven't seen. I got to see it to believe it. I'm taking Oregon in this game on the road. Oregon is a 3.5 point dog, I believe. I think, and a lot of that's just because Penn State's at home. It's a wideout, and it's. What I love about this game is that it's not the big noon. That Fox did not tab this as the big noon game. This is a 7:30 kick, so I think it's 7:30 kick, and it's a wideout. It's Penn State. They're a 3.5 point favorite. But you know what I have to say to that? Fuck your wideout. Go Ducks, man. Oregon and Dan Lanning are going. Dante Moore or Dan Lanning, Oregon, they're going to upset Penn State on the road. I don't care. I'm not even going to consider an upset because I'm picking Oregon to begin with. I think Oregon is the better team overall, but I just think Oregon is just. They're just better. And I don't even know if it's more so Oregon is better. Penn State just is not good in these big games. Penn State is just worse in these big games. How about that? So they have to prove me otherwise. And if they prove me wrong, they prove me wrong. If they sell the parlay, they sell the parlay. I don't really care. They're good for Penn State. I have another team to believe in to dethrone Georgia. Yeah, And so it is what it is. I don't mind it, man. I lied. There is one more game that is not an SEC game. Navy, another sicko matchup. Navy, I'm really big on the military schools this year. This week. I don't know why. Navy is playing host to Rice. Now, 2 episodes ago, I did say you can't lose to food. Do not lose to food, no matter what. I think Navy beats food. Obviously, they're a 14.5 point favorite. I think Navy beats food, but I'm taking them to cover as well. Now, as these other matchups, as I've said for these other matchups, if you're not feeling ambitious, just take Navy to cover. The odds aren't great. Obviously, it's not going to make you as much money. But give me Navy minus 14.5 over Rice. The only wrench that may throw things, the only thing that may throw a wrench into this is that Rice's QB is averaging sub 70 passing yards a game. So you may think, oh, right off the rip, what do you mean? Like that just plays better in the Navy. Like Rice's offense stinks. The problem is Rice is averaging almost 250 yards a game on the ground. They played inferior competition, and the one team they played that was on level with them, they got destroyed by. So maybe take that with a grain of salt, maybe take it with a grain of salt, maybe don't. I don't know. But the problem, that's just my only cause for concern is that if Rice can somewhat maintain a rushing attack in this game, and it doesn't turn into a, hey, Navy's up 14-3 early in the second quarter in this game, Rice is going to have to start throwing the ball. If that's the case, take the Navy points. They do, because it's going to get ugly. It will. But if Rice is able to control the ball, control the time of possession game a little bit more than other teams have against Navy, and almost, just go blow for blow a little bit on offense with Navy, then just take Navy money line. But if you're feeling ambitious like I am, it might be the good boy vodkas. I'm taking Navy points. I am. Just book it. It is what it is. Last two matchups. You know what? Honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to get into the NFL this go around because, we'll go game by game. We'll just go quick with the NFL. We're rolling really far in the college, but I don't care. It's more exciting. Last two are SEC matchups. We've got University of Kentucky traveling to the University of South Carolina. As I said in the last episode, it was a lot of weird controversy with the whole Lenore Sellers. Is he going to play for South Carolina last week? And he did, and they couldn't run the ball. They got beat by Missouri by 2 possessions. They couldn't run the ball. Lenore Sellers threw for 300, no turnovers, didn't matter. They still got beat by 2 possessions. I think they bounce back this week. He's got a full week to prepare. He's got last week it was more of a limited and just it was very much up in the air on if he was going to play. This week, give it to me. Give me the full Lenore Sellers game plan week. I think they bounce back against Kentucky. However, this is where I throw the wrench into it. I'm taking the over on this game. The Kentucky-South Carolina over-under is 47.5, which feels very low for college football. Maybe not very low, but it feels low for college football. I think South Carolina wins this game by a score of like 30-20, or 30-23, or 28-21, which that's all I need for the over. I need one team to reach 28 and the other team to reach 20, which is very doable. I think so. Give me the over in this game. My last pick of the week for the parlay, the sicko parlay, is another SEC matchup, as I mentioned before, and it is the Fighting Joey Swagulars. The Fighting Swagulars. So thank you, JRAT, Jake Ratledge, for that nickname. I like that name. He said Joey Swagular. I'm going to call it the Fighting Swagulars. So a little bit his, and a little bit just my twist on it, but I'm giving the credit to Jake right there. The Fighting Swagulars on the road to face the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. So the Cowbells are going to be going crazy in this game. However, I just don't really think it matters. It's a 4:15 game, so maybe an evening-ish game, late afternoon, early evening, by the time this game's over. But give me Tennessee. Tennessee is a 7.5 point favorite. On the road is scary because they haven't been fully on the road yet. They haven't been a true road team yet, I believe. But give me Tennessee. I think if Tennessee wins this game, it's by more than a possession. That's just kind of how Hypo goes, I feel. I don't know. I could be completely biased because I don't watch them every play. But give me Tennessee. I'm taking them money line. By the time I do this parlay, I may be talking into more of just the 7.5 because it's A, more money, and B, I think if they win this game, it's not going to come down to the last play. How about that? I think if Tennessee wins this game, it's not going to come down to the last play of the game. That actually means something. I think it's at worst by 10. I think Tennessee wins this game. Mississippi State has been very much better. Jeff Lebby, and he's got Mississippi State at least competing this year. I might just take Tennessee money line. Give me Tennessee money line. I'm very much open to 7.5 point spread. I'm very much open to that. If you take it, I'm not going to fault you at all. But that's college football picks for the week. Matchups also to watch for the week. I think we're just gonna just steamroll the NFL. So, is what it is. You guys get it. You guys know. You guys can also do your research for the NFL. Seattle and Arizona tonight. That's gross. That's a gross game. Arizona just lost their running back James Conner for the year. Trey Benson, I like him. I like him a lot from Florida State. He's their backup. James Conner was so much a leader and the big character in that clubhouse that I think Seattle wins this game. I do. Give me Seattle. Minnesota at Pittsburgh in Dublin, Ireland. Give me Pittsburgh. I know Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz and I just got an Amber Alert on my phone. Kidnapped child in Marion County. That is nowhere near me. I am sorry. Hope you guys find your kid. I don't mean that as a joke at all. I don't mean that any ill will at all or like a facetious manner. I just don't really understand why I'm getting that Amber Alert notification when I'm nowhere near it. But people suck these days. So back to the NFL. This is a sports talk show. I'm sorry. I might need to cut that out. I might need to. But give me Pittsburgh in Dublin, Ireland. Aaron Rodgers came out slinging it the first week. Kind of relied on the defense the last 2 weeks. They went 1-1 after that. Give me Pittsburgh against the backup quarterback. Washington and Atlanta. Give me Washington. I think Jaden Daniels, I believe, is back this week, and I think he comes back with a vengeance because the offense was sputtering those first 2 weeks, and Atlanta is just kind of in a quarterback controversy. I know they're going to start Penix, but they benched him last week late. They said it was for injury purposes. I also saw a post that said Atlanta in games that they've scored more than 7 points with Michael Penix starting is like 0-3 or 0-4 now, and that's just absolutely pitiful. It's kind of crazy. In games that they've given up more than 7 points. In games that Atlanta's given up more than 7 points with Michael Penix starting, they're 0-3 or 0-4. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. But give me Washington in that game. I like Washington. They got to get track at some point. The scary Terry Jane Daniels connection will find its way. Buffalo is hosting New Orleans. Give me Buffalo. I don't need to go in depth on that one. Cleveland at Detroit. Cleveland had a great heartwarming win with Joe Flacco against the Packers last week. Where they came back in the fourth quarter. Doesn't matter. Give me Detroit. I might be even taking the spread on that game. Detroit minus 9.5. Give me Detroit. Don't really give a shit. Carolina at New England. This one's a little tough. Give me New England. I think it's a good game. Bryce Young and the Panthers looked good last week. They did. They the week before they made it a game late against the Cardinals, I believe it was, and they lost late. But give me Drake May and the Patriots. I think they win a dogfight against the Panthers at home. Chargers at Giants. This one's a little weird. The Giants are starting Jackson Dart. I referenced that on the last pod in a different light because I said the whole race controversy with the Giants. But give me the Chargers. I think the Chargers go 4-0. However, if the Giants win this game, I would not be surprised whatsoever. I wouldn't. Philly at Tampa Bay. This one is really tough. Philly is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. Their passing attack finally came alive last week, but only because they had to. They were down 3 scores to the Rams, and they had to get it done through the air, or else they weren't going to win that game, and they did. I think the Bucks had to, make a 2-minute drill drive against the Jets to win last week. Both teams are 3-0. Dang, I don't know about this one. I think I'm going to go. Which team starts 4-0? Wow, this is a tough game. Give me Philly. I think. I don't like that pick. No, you know what? Give me the Bucks, man. Give me the Bucks. I think they dethroned Philly as one of the last undefeated teams in the NFC. Give me the Bucks. The Bucks go 4-0. That game could go either way, so I'm not gonna lie. Don't bet on that game. Just don't bet on that game. Give me the Bucks though. Tennessee at Houston. This is like midget slap boxing right now. Now look, I know Houston gave Jags a run for the money. Houston's been great the last few years, but what I want to harp on this game is that it came out today that L'Jarius Sneed, a cornerback for the Titans, he signed there last season for a 4-year, like $90 million deal. A lot of money. A 4-year, $80 million deal or something for a cornerback. A lot of money. He got interviewed in the locker room after practice today talking about his matchup with Nico Collins or something, and when his name was mentioned, he said, who? Come on, man. Nico Collins is a certified wide receiver 1 in the NFL. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFC South. He's the clear dog on that Houston Texans team. Why are you saying who? You guys are both 0-3. You both suck. The seasons are over for both of you teams. Like, for both of these teams. The Titans season's over. The Texans still have a fighting chance to make the wild card, I think. But, like, what do you know what I mean? And then Nico Collins responded in a way that I think he should have. He responded with a little bit of edge. He said he knows who I am. He knows who I am. He should know who I am. He is. That's correct. Nico Collins is a dog at wide receiver, man. He's good. The Texans stink right now. Their offensive coordinator isn't gelling right now with C.J. Stroud or vice versa. But Nico Collins is a dog, man. You can't be treating him like that. It's just dumb, man. It's just petty. You guys are freaking it's like midget slap boxing right now. Both 0-3 teams talking shit. What it is, what it is. Texans are home in that game. I'm taking the Texans. That's enough of them talking about it. Jags at the 49ers. I'm taking the Jags. Don't follow me. I'm a Jags fanboy. I don't really care. I'm taking the Jags in this game. Bosa's out. Kittle's out. They're banged up at receiver. Ayuk's still not back yet. I'm taking the Jags. At some point, the Jags are 4-15 on the West Coast. The last 19 games, obviously. I got the Jags, man. You got to right the ship at some point, and I'm just gonna bank on that. You have to change the narrative. That's my saying. You have to change the narrative at some point, and I think this is the weekend that they change the narrative, man. 49ers seem a little bit banged up. I think the Jags, they're 3.5-point dogs on the road, which is understandably so because San Francisco's getting back Brock Purdy. I don't care, man. Win that game. This is a game you need to win, man. If you think you're going to be a contender in the AFC South and the AFC and the playoffs, win this game. Give me the Jags. Kansas City and Baltimore. Jesus, man, this NFL slate's good this week, man. Baltimore to Kansas City. Kansas Chiefs are 1-2. It's hard for me. I said last week when they were facing the Giants, it's hard for me to see them 0-3, and it was easier to say that because they were facing the Giants, but it's hard for me to see the Chiefs at 1-3. The problem is, it's hard for me to see the Ravens at 1-3. Both these teams are 1-2 right now. Surprisingly enough, Baltimore is a 2.5-point favorite on the road. So going into Arrowhead, you're a 2.5-point favorite. That's crazy. It's not even a primetime game. It's a 4:30 game. So it's just I think my Chiefs bias, not really bias, just PTSD. I think it's the best way to put it. Chiefs PTSD, man. I don't see the Chiefs starting at 1-3. I really don't. It's a dumb argument I have, but I think the Chiefs win this game. I think it's a dogfight. I think it's an absolute dogfight, slugfest. I think the Chiefs come out on top of it. I just don't see them going 1-3. I really don't. Bears at Raiders. Gross, man. Raiders are a 1.5 favorite at home. Give me the Bears. I'm taking the upset right here. I know the Bears are 1-2. They blew up last week on offense. You're kind of due for like a regression week. I don't really care. I just don't like the Raiders, man. I don't. I'm not sold on them. Give me the Bears upset. Air quotes around upset. Give me the Bears upset on the road. Green Bay at Dallas is your Sunday night game. Give me the Packers. I'm very heavy on the Packers this week. I told my buddy Joel at work, he's in a survivor league basically, where you have to choose one team every week, and he said, and so basically when you choose that team to win, if they win, you can't use that team for the rest of the season. And obviously, if you choose a team to win and they lose, you're done. So it's one and done basically. But I told him he hadn't used the Packers yet, and he gave me a list of teams or something. And I said, use the Packers here. I think Michael Parsons returning to Dallas in a big revenge game, I think he goes off. On top of this, Dallas is going to be down C.D. Lamb for a couple weeks. Their star receiver, one of the best receivers in the league. I think they're down C.D. Michael Parsons returned. The Packers lost last week to the Browns on the road, and obviously that could be cause for concern, but I'm taking it the opposite way. I think they bounce back in a big way. This is a huge, monumental bounce-back game for the Packers. I really do think that. Give me that. Give me the Packers against the Cowboys. Monday night, we got a doubleheader. Jets at the Dolphins. I just puked in my mouth a little bit. That is a disgustingly gross game. The Jets might be with Tyrod Taylor again, or they might have Justin Fields. I don't know. I'm not even going to pick that game. They don't even deserve that, man. Cincinnati at Denver. Give me Denver. Cincinnati backup quarterback Jake Browning. The old Jake, the normal Jake Browning came out last week against the Vikings. Just a struggle bus. He's a backup quarterback for a reason. He's a quality backup quarterback, but it's just tough. Give me the Broncos in that game. Jets at Dolphins. I'm not even picking. Last game that I'm picking is a 4 o'clock game. Colts at Rams. Both 3-0. No. Rams are 2-1. Rams were going to be 3-0, but they had that blocked field goal against the Eagles, unfortunately. Rams are obviously their home team. It's a West Coast trip for the East Coast team. It's always a tough one. Rams are 3.5-point favorites. I'm sorry, Jacob Cooper. Honestly, I'm going to use this as fuel for the Colts. Give me the Rams. I'm going to say the Rams win, it's just an absolute scrappy dogfight. I'm taking the Rams, but this is more so as fuel for the Colts, because I gotta see this to believe it. An East Coast team traveling West Coast is just very tough. That's why same thing with the Jags and 49ers. It's just tough, man. I don't know why. The Jags haven't fared well. It's a very tough thing to do. I don't know why. I really don't understand it, but I'm gonna take the West Coast team hosting the Colts right here. Give me the Rams. I won't be surprised either way. Don't bet on that. I honestly, don't bet on that one though. I wouldn't, but it is what it is. But overall, that's the episode summed up. We went super long tonight. It's a banger of an episode, a jam-packed episode. You guys got a lot of analytics in this one, a lot of just commentary on a lot of these matchups. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, post your bet slips in the comments. Text me your bet slips. I don't really care. Give me suggestions on what you guys want me to talk about next episode if you want. I'm open to anything. We gotta work out these guests things. I gotta get the guests on the show. A lot of my friends from work and Jake and everybody. We gotta get guests on the show. We gotta figure that out at some point. But thank you guys for listening. Love y'all. Have a good one.